Dear Pixie, you asked us, as far as I understand it, if we create and stay in high and very intense frequencies of bliss and love, then we are creating an opposite force or reality with the same intensity of despair and fear. So is going to the fifth dimension, or ascension, creating parallel negative realities at the same time? Not exactly, although there is truth in this concept you present. An individual remaining within integrated and balanced high frequencies of bliss and love cannot possibly create an opposing force of despair and fear, as despair and fear, or the dimension they create, does not exist for them whilst they experience the integrated, balanced, dimensional vibration that is bliss and love. For bliss and love as one integrated frequency is that which creates and anchors a unity consciousness field, which holds a trinity configuration rather than a dualistic configuration. The trinity would be love, light, and a love-light, light-love union as the trinity, or indeed love-light, light-love into source consciousness as the apex of that trinity. Therefore, the creation from bliss and love, or indeed bliss-charged love, moves upwards, if you will, into a higher reality rather than downwards into the creation of an opposing reality. Dualism would be fear and love that is in a state of integration, or distortion, or lack of integration. Therefore, it is not a unity field. The Trinity is created from the bliss and love, and as we have said on many occasions, once you have three, you have all. Trinity into infinity. The situation where that which you explain may come about relates to an unanchored, non-integrated bliss and love, which is, in truth, a transient situation, that is a false bliss and love, if you will. It is known to you as spiritual bypassing. It is transcendence without integration, and the ignoring or rejecting of the shadow or the ego or fear-based reality. So it is not going to the fifth dimension or going through an ascension process that creates negative realities. It is awakening to a transcendent false bliss code without shadow ego integration that can cause a personal crash down, if you will, and create negative realities on a large scale if this is experienced or created en masse, intentionally or unintentionally. The awakening leads to integration, and that, on a grand scale, prevents negative reality creation through duality, and it is this mass awakening that shuts down or collapses the service to self factions and inverted matrices. When an individual moves into bliss and love of this non-integrated kind, they take the shadow side with them, if you will. This creates a lockdown, pull down, heavyweight anchoring, and prevents ascension. This can result in a ping back or opposing swing of the pendulum reality creation, and draw that chaotic despair and fear dimension of which you speak. This has been the very aim of the service to self-controllers, to give just enough bliss and love without true integration, balance and healing, So one is always caught within the dualism of the pendulum swing between bliss-charged love and despair, chaos and fear. This is how they have controlled the third and somewhat fourth dimensional reality for so long. True ascension and creation of the lasting and anchored unity fields within the higher dimensions occurs when integration of the shadow takes place en masse, and true bliss and love is reached and anchored. This occurs through a simultaneous transcendence and integration. The state of transcendence and integration simultaneously is a state of mastery. The way forward to this understanding is to focus on integration, and one will find themselves at a level of lightness where simultaneous transcendence is thus understood and activated. So creating the bliss-charged love trinity fields and landscapes of hyperspace, also known as the fifth dimension or fourth density. Also you spake of intense frequencies. Indeed, from your perspective as a physically incarnated being within the third dimension, then intense most explains the higher frequencies. Yet in truth, the reality is that they are not intense, but calm, peaceful, and flowing. We draw your attention to this so that you may look at the frequencies of bliss-charged love from a multidimensional perspective. You asked us, if we stay at the 0 point without pull or push forces, then we are not creating anything. Is this our aim? In one sense, yes. You create nothing, for here you are in perfect flow. Nothing needs to be created, for you stand within the very center of creation itself. However, the center of creation, the 0 point field, is the field of limitless possibility. It holds the fabric of pre-creation, if you will. It is the place of the ultimate reality blueprint. Therefore, whilst you are not creating anything, you are simultaneously creating anything you so desire from the place of complete surrender, which is not creating. If you break the word creating down, it reads see reacting if you remove the first letter. Yet when you do not see and thus react, you are in flow and surrender. You are not reactive. You are therefore in the place of no creation, which is your greatest creational tool, the 0 point, the source point. You asked us, I thought our divine nature was to be creators, but perhaps it's exactly the opposite. What a true statement to make within such a paradoxical uttering. Indeed, much is expressed here in this one sentence. Wisdom cometh forth from the understanding and the processing of the paradox. Your divine nature is indeed that of creators, master creators in fact. Yet you do this through the stillness and the silence of pure surrender, which is the 0 point consciousness. It is here that you hold limitless possibility, for the 0 point field is an infinite fractal structure. This is the place of perfect, true, and ultimate creation. It is here that you become the master creators and fulfill your divine mission. You asked us, you always reference archangels and ascended masters. Yet is it not true that they hold an upper fifth dimensional consciousness? And since that is below lower 6th dimensional consciousness, where the service to self and service to others groups were created in the first place, then they, the Archangels and Ascended Masters, are still part of the inverted matrix system, and they are siphoning energy from us in the form of worship cords. And is it not the case that they still have the archonic virus in them? The service to self energy, whilst it begins to manifest in the 6th dimension, is still within a unity field until the upper 4th dimension. Only in the 4th dimension does it become what we would term as negative, as only in the 4th dimension can it be pure separation. Therefore, from that perspective, Archangels and Ascended Masters are above the inverted matrix system. However, there is a caveat to this, and that is that they are above the inverted matrix system only if you connect with them or perceive them through unity consciousness. If you see them and perceive them as outside of yourself, above you, or as a saviour energy, or worse, if you worship them, you will not raise beyond the separation of the 4th dimension, and you will, through connection with your own perception of them, still connect with the inverted matrix system. We use the term worse only to draw attention to the negative polarity creation. In truth, there is no worse than or better than. So from this perspective, yes, your comment holds truth, and what you call worship cords and the archonic virus would be part of this, and also indeed the siphoning of energy that you speak of would take place. Hence what we mean by worshipping them being worse, for that is the vibration that gives them permission, if you will, to siphon energy. The Ascended Masters and Archangels hold multi-dimensional personality matrices, and the aspect to connect with is that of pure source unity consciousness. Ascended Masters and Archangels have both a negative and a positive aspect, although that is a simplistic statement to make when describing the multidimensionality that they are and the quantum field that is their home and their consciousness. Indeed, your quests of dualistic vibratory reality as bliss-charged love and chaos-fear despair is the same quest as that of multidimensional Archangel or Ascended Masters. One is the field, the environment, the domain, if you will. The other is the intelligence, the personality, the code, the individualization of that field. It is your choice which you embrace. There is lack of activation and awareness, and thus ignorance, which, in a linear sense, is usually stage 1. Then there is awakening, and the sheer joy and excitement of that experience, the disbelief of that experience, and that initial memory, which can catapult you into the transcendent state, which is usually stage 2. Then there is the coming down to earth with a bump, if you will, as the shadow aspect pulls you back into the opposing reality created by the non-integrated shadow, a most necessary stage, and usually stage 3. Then there is integration, stage 4, and thus enlightenment and ascension, stage 5, in synchronization with 5th DNA strand activation and the embracing of 5th dimensional consciousness. Then one moves beyond linear stages and steps into the 0 point field where all is one. This is the law of one. This journey of awakening we could present as the 5 steps to oneness. And this is the journey, linearly expressed or non-linearly experienced, is that which you all take, the journey which you all take. In this transmission, you have keycodes for surrender, integration, creation mastery, Archangel Archonic Matrix awareness through understanding the Archangel Archon grid, and paradoxical consciousness given through the 5 steps to oneness. Trinity into infinity, 0 point, source point consciousness, and the discovery of all that is truly you. We are the white-winged collective consciousness of 9. In this transmission from the white-winged collective consciousness of 9, I, Magenta Pixie, bring forward information specific to utilising the rose gold flame as antidote to 5G, EMFs, chemicals, chemtrails, and similar. The presented template utilises the Schumann resonance, and the technique is alchemical unification. In this book, the 9 discuss synchronicity, discernment skills, and understanding of discordance and disharmony within truth and lightworker communities. They present a workable model of expression, assisting the spiritual explorer in creating a necessary toolkit. This allows the individual to construct a shield, bringing safety, harmony, expansion, and cohesive sovereignty into their own personal reality and their matrix field. I am pleased to present my new short book, The Black Box Program and the Rose Gold Flame as Antidote.